The emergency klaxon screamed through the corridors of Outpost Kepler 7 as Commander Zethkari pressed his four-clawed hands against the observation deck's reinforced viewing port. Below, in the facility's central containment chamber, the most feared predator in known space circled restlessly behind energy barriers that flickered ominously with each passing second. "Sir, the containment field is at 43%, reported Lieutenant Vash, her scaled hide rippling with anxiety patterns. "The Void Stalker has been testing the barriers for 6 hours straight." Zethkari's mandibles clicked in frustration. The creature was magnificent and terrifying. 12 feet of obsidian carapace, 6 razor-sharp limbs that could slice through titanium, and bioluminescent neural nodes that pulsed with an intelligence that made even seasoned xenobiologists uncomfortable. The Void Stalker had decimated 3 colonies before they'd managed to capture this specimen, and now their prison was failing. "How long until evacuation ships arrive?" Zethkari asked. 16 hours, sir." The commander's secondary heart sank. They had maybe 4 hours before containment failed completely. "Sir," another officer burst onto the observation deck, "the human research vessel Curiosity just docked. They're requesting permission to assist with the situation." "Humans?" Zethkari's antennae twitched dismissively. The galaxy's newest spacefaring species had a reputation for being unconventional. What could they possibly offer? Their ships barely have proper shielding. "The captain says they have experience with difficult animals, sir." Before Zethkari could respond, the deck's communication system crackled to life. A cheerful voice with the characteristic tonal patterns of human speech filled the room. "Kepler 7 Command. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Curiosity. We'd like to help with your big angry friend down there." "Captain Chen," Zethkari replied, activating the comm. "With respect, this creature has killed thousands. It's not some domesticated beast." A sound emerged from the speakers that Zethkari had learned was human laughter. "Oh, I know exactly what it is. We studied the footage from the colony attacks. Beautiful creature, really. Mind if I come take a look?" Despite his better judgment, Zethkari found himself granting permission. 20 minutes later, Captain Chen stood beside him at the observation port, a small bipedal figure barely reaching his shoulder, wearing a simple blue jumpsuit and carrying what appeared to be a large bag. "Wow," Chen breathed, watching the Void Stalker's hypnotic movements. "Look at that neural activity. See how the nodes pulse in that pattern? Classic anxiety response, poor thing's terrified." "Terrified?" Lieutenant Vash's scales shifted to an incredulous orange. "Captain, that creature could tear through our hull plating." "Oh, absolutely," Chen nodded. "But think about it from its perspective. It's alone, confined in an alien environment, surrounded by creatures it doesn't understand. Classic stress response." The Void Stalker suddenly slammed against the energy barrier, sending sparks cascading down the containment field. The assembled officers instinctively stepped back. Captain Chen stepped forward. "What's in the bag, Captain?" Zethkari asked. Chen grinned, a peculiar human expression that showed their flat teeth. "Snacks." "Snacks? The colonies it attacked, what did they all have in common?" Chen asked, not waiting for an answer. "Protein farms. Livestock. This isn't some mindless killing machine. It's hungry." She opened her bag and pulled out several packages wrapped in metallic foil. "Synthesized proteins, specifically calibrated for its biochemistry based on your research data. We whipped up a batch on the way over." "You want to feed it?" Zethkari's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "Among other things." Chen moved to the containment chamber's secondary access panel. "I'm going inside." "Absolutely not." Zethkari stepped between her and the controls. "That's certain death." "Commander, my species spent thousands of years turning wolves into pets, bears into circus performers, and somehow convinced cats that we were worth keeping around. Trust me on this one." Before anyone could stop her, Chen's nimble fingers danced across the human-compatible interface she'd apparently installed while they were talking. The secondary containment field, a smaller chamber within the main one, activated. "I'm not turning off the primary containment," she assured them, stepping into the airlock. "Just getting a little closer." The Void Stalker immediately focused on the secondary chamber as Chen entered, its neural nodes blazing with hostile light. It approached the inner barrier slowly, all 6 limbs tensed for violence. Chen sat down cross-legged and opened one of her packages. The aroma that emerged caused every officer on the observation deck to recoil. It smelled like decay and sulfur. The Void Stalker, however, froze completely. "That's right, buddy," Chen said softly, her voice somehow projecting calm despite the circumstances. "Real food, not the synthetic crap they've been giving you, I bet." She tossed a piece through the barrier's meal slot. The Void Stalker approached cautiously, its neural nodes shifting from aggressive red to curious amber. It consumed the offering in one swift motion, then looked directly at Chen. "More?" she asked, holding up another piece. What followed over? The next 2 hours defied everything the galactic scientific community thought they knew about Void Stalkers. Chen established a basic communication system using the creature's bioluminescent nodes. She taught it simple patterns: rapid pulses for yes, slow pulses for no, steady light for calm. The Void Stalker, which Chen had started calling Nova, began responding to its new name. It learned to approach the barrier gently when Chen called to it. Most remarkably, when a maintenance worker accidentally triggered an alarm, Nova immediately positioned itself between the perceived threat and Chen, its nodes flashing in protective patterns. "Incredible," Zethkari whispered, watching Nova carefully take food directly from Chen's hand through the modified feeding port. "In 2 hours, you've accomplished what our best xenobiologists couldn't in months." Chen scratched behind what might have been Nova's ear, a ridge of sensitive neural tissue that caused the creature to emit a subsonic purr that vibrated through the station's hull. "Different approaches, Commander. You saw a monster to be contained. I saw a very large, very lost animal that needed a friend. But the colony attacks desperate hunger," Chen explained. "Look at the scarring on its carapace. This one's been alone for a long time, probably lost its pack. When Void Stalkers are isolated, they go into survival mode. Everything becomes potential food or potential threat." Nova's neural nodes suddenly flashed in rapid sequence, the pattern Chen had taught it for distress. The creature backed away from the barrier, all 6 limbs tensed. "What's wrong, Nova?" Chen asked, then looked up at the observation deck. "Commander, you might want to check your sensors." Alarms began blaring as 3 more ships appeared on the station's screens, sleek predatory vessels that the database immediately identified as hegemony raiders. "They must have tracked our research vessel," Vash reported, her scales now cycling through panic colors. 3 attack cruisers closing fast. Our defensive systems are still offline from the containment field power drain. Chen stood up, looking at Nova, who was now pacing frantically and emitting low warning sounds. "Hey, buddy," she said softly. "Those bad ships out there? They want to hurt your new friends." Nova's nodes flashed the yes pattern, followed immediately by aggressive red pulses. I know. But you're stuck in here." Chen looked up at the observation deck. "Commander, what would it take to modify the containment system for temporary release?" "Absolutely not," Zethkari stated firmly. "Even if such a thing were possible." "Nova's not going to hurt anyone here," Chen interrupted. "Look at the behavioral patterns. It's bonded with me and by extension with the station. But those raiders, they're not part of our pack." The first enemy weapon impacts shook the station. In the containment chamber, Nova's distress calls grew louder. "Please," Chen said simply. "Trust me. Trust us." Zethkari looked at his crew, at the tactical displays showing their hopeless situation, and at the impossible sight of humanity's newest ambassador having a conversation with their most feared predator. He made a decision that would either save them all or doom them spectacularly. Do it. The containment field powered down with a hum that seemed to resonate through Nova's entire body. The creature looked at the open barrier, then at Chen, then at the station around them. Chen pointed toward the docking bay where the human ship was berthed. "Bad ships, Nova. Protect pack." Nova's neural nodes blazed like stars as it moved with fluid grace through corridors that seemed far too small to contain it. The station's crew pressed against bulkheads as 12 feet of living weapon flowed past them, following Chen toward the conflict. In space, the hegemony raiders had closed to optimal firing range, their weapons charging for a devastating assault on the defenseless research station. They never detected the small human ship that detached from Kepler-7's docking bay. Never noticed the unusual energy signature until it was too late. Nova, wearing a hastily modified EVA suit that Chen's crew had somehow adapted for its unique physiology, tore through the raiders' hulls like they were made of paper. The Void Stalker's natural void-swimming abilities,